Hey guys, Jason with Fat Thunder Garage, and we are sitting here with a chassis that Porterbuilt builds for us, and that we assemble and put together here, and it becomes what it is today. So we kind of want to explain a little bit why we believe this makes Coyote swaps super easy for you. And so one of the things that we've learned over time is that if I sold you the chassis, the frame rails, and all the components here, Charlie, and you were a little bit mechanical.
Yeah.
You didn't work here for several years, right? You were a little bit mechanical, and I sold you a chassis, and then I sent you all the brakes and the springs and all the things that you see here in boxes with your frame, which is pretty much what you get from a lot of the other chassis companies out there, right?
Yes.
They may not sell you a motor or all this stuff here, but they'll send, everything comes in boxes except the big frame, right? It's broke down to the simplest form for shipping. How much work do you think you're going to have involved to get it to this point?
It would be extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because the hardest thing for guys, even here sometimes we get overwhelmed with, where do I start?
What goes where?
Yeah, what goes where? Where do I start to eat the elephant? Where do I take the chunks and start chewing them?
Right, so then maybe you might hire a shop.
Yeah.
Right? It gets a little overwhelming. You've started it, some of it's wrong, right? And you gotta get a shop involved. So now to pay a shop to then take all this, fit everything, put it together, get it to powder coat, get all the stuff done here, it's actually a fair amount of work. I'm surprised, how much work it actually takes to get here. But what we've worked really hard at is how to simplify it and be consistent over and over and over. That the brake lines are routed the same way, the fuel lines are routed the same way, the exhaust is routed the same way, the powder coat process for us is the same way, the same company, which parts, how we put it together, that we're very consistent with the products we use. So we don't have like good, better, best when it comes to brakes, right?
Wow.
We only have best, right? Now you might have 12-inch, 13-inch, 14-inch, right? But we didn't sell you on something super cheap right up front that you might want to upgrade, right?
Yeah, upgrade or parts fail.
Parts fail, whatever, right? These are all Wilwood parts. I would say they're easy to get, but at least you can call them and they know exactly what you have. They're going to be familiar with our product and chassis. You can call us up, we can guide you through it, and it's the same parts over and over and over. So one of the things that, as I'm thinking about, Charlie, is when we put these together, and we've got Pierce here, he's doing all these lines, and if I handed you all these little parts, like, would you understand how to run the brake lines correctly?
The only reason I would is because of what I do every day. But
Right.
honestly, I don't even want to do it. That's why we have somebody here that does
Well,
it
don't say that.
every
He might
day.
not want to do it after he watches this video.
Well, no, I don't want to because he makes me look bad when I try to do it.
He is actually really good. That's one thing Pierce has excelled at is running lines and brake lines. He's done a phenomenal job. He's as good as anybody out there in the industry. Does a great job. Well, and just exhaust in general, brake lines, assembly, drive shaft measurement. I mean, I get people all the time, they'll call and say, hey, where do I get a drive shaft? What parts do I need? And I'm like, they live in another state and they want to know this information.
Yeah.
I'm like, just call up a drive shaft. Like it becomes a little overwhelming that you're really not sure. And then you've got the motor and all the things that go to the motor. Do I do an IMRC delete? Do I, how do I run, the whips, because, the whips to your brake lines, all that stuff, the routing, like it's a little bit complicated.
We even have a customer that has another chassis that isn't ours with a Coyote in it that we had to do headers for and send out to him because he couldn't make headers fit that came with his chassis. He was going to have to cut half the floorboard out of his truck.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. So the headers that we have for ours and we put together are designed to fit. Why? Because we use them here, right? We're building trucks all the time, so we actually know that we have to have a header that fits, that isn't going to cause you to tear your floor apart. And it's frustrating. You spend, you know, $1,800, $1,500 on a set of headers, and then you got to come and buy a $2,000 set of headers from us.
Yeah.
That can get frustrating quickly. But at the end of the day, you know, quality. So we'll kind of talk about the chassis just a little bit here, and hopefully we can just kind of explain why we believe a little bit more this is the best way to go. So one of the things that we do is we're going to supply you a brand new crate motor. We're going to supply you all brand new parts. We're going to supply you parts that we know go together, work together, and we're going to be more successful with it. We also understand how all this goes together and gets bolted together, because we got like 6 or 7 chassis that we're working on all at the same time. So we become much quicker at it. If you have to take it to a shop, it's going to cost you 3 times as much if you actually have to pay another shop to do it. So it seems like a lot of money up front, right? Because you're buying the motor and things you're going to buy anyways, right? Now maybe you have a used motor and you want to drop in your used motor. That's fine. That's okay. But at the end of the day, this is all brand new. Everything's made to work together. Essentially, we've done it before. A guy, he wanted to make sure it ran. A couple hours of wiring, ran and put power to the fuel pump, and the thing ran.
Yep.
And it was a supercharger. Even.
Yeah, it was.
It was a supercharger. Even we ran the supercharger, and it ran, and we took a video of it, and it was ready to go. So the reality is, it was ready to run. So when you're trying to get all this stuff calculated and figured out, and how you're going to actually run all this stuff, and get your pinion the right angle, and get your drive shaft figured out, and your gas tank installed, and how you're going to run your fuel lines, and where you're going to put this, like, it takes a lot of time. Pierce makes it look simple because he puts these together. Takes about, I don't know, what do you think, about a week to assemble one complete?
Yeah. And
then about 3 days to get the exhaust completely done. But we make custom headers. We put resonators in there. You'll get an H pipe or an X pipe. It just kind of depends. You're going to get MagnaFlow mufflers. And at the end of the day, it is a super nice quality chassis when it's all done. Now, we didn't cut corners to get the price down, so I'm sorry that we didn't do that for you. But we actually are really proud of the product and the end result and how it drives and handles. So, air ride and coilovers you can get.
Yeah.
Charlie, you've driven these trucks.
I have.
How do they drive?
They drive great.
Yeah.
They drive really, really good, actually. I was surprised. The first one that we did and we drove it, I was very impressed. Going back to, getting all these parts and pieces and boxes shipped to you, could you imagine spending as much money as you would spend, even without it powder coated or assembled, and have it sit in your garage for a year, maybe 2 years, because every time you go out there to put it together, you get a little bit done, you get a little overwhelmed, you walk away from it.
I actually know of a guy that has one of ours. He bought it, he goes, no, I'll do it myself. It's still sitting in his garage. It's been almost a year, and 6772 airbag chassis. So if you want one, I know a guy that wants to sell one. He goes, that's too much for me. And so it literally took the wind out of his sails, because he didn't want to have to try to figure it all out and put it together. So,
but really, like, this episode's supposed to be about why buy one of these. So why buy one? Because you can get this whole thing exactly like this. You can take your sheet metal, set it on there, put all new bushings underneath it, wire it up, and go drive it. Some guys, in the past, people have front and back half stuff, so you have this much of your original chassis left. That doesn't really make much sense. Save you a little bit of money by doing that if you did all the work yourself, but if your time is worth anything to you, what did you save?
Well, we're going to do a video coming up soon. You're going to like it. It's how to do a Coyote swap in 72 hours. Charlie, look at him. I made him blush.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with something like this. Now, you can order up your chassis from us. You can, in the meantime, why don't you get your seat upholstered and get that stuff ready? Okay, you can get some of that done. If you got body work and paint that you would like to get done, go ahead and get all that done. Mostly what you'll have to work on anyways is, depending upon how low you go, might determine if you need a little bit of a transmission hump or tunnel. Because honestly, right here and here, it takes up some space.
Obviously, the lower you go, the higher the motor has to sit, so you're not dragging your oil pans on the ground.
Yep, so.
Generally, trans tunnel, level 2, you can get away
Yeah,
with.
on a 5356, it's only right here. It's very minimal.
Yeah.
On a 6772, it's up a little higher, and you're gonna run a little bit of a tunnel underneath your seat just to get all that done. But that's the least amount of work. You don't have to do anything to the firewall if you don't want to. So very cool. So hopefully that helps explain it. This is basically how you're gonna do a Coyote swap. The easiest is just have it ready to go, set your sheet metal on it, and then you're gonna go. And so it really is the simplest and easiest way to do a Coyote swap. Obviously, I didn't say it was the cheapest way, right? There are cheaper ways. Use motors, use your suspension and all that kind of stuff. But if you're looking for the easiest way, this is how you're gonna get it done in your garage or a shop in your neck of the woods. And so thanks for following. Be sure to subscribe and follow us along for more tips and information about how to do a swap on your truck.